see you there. Welcome to the Quiet Corner with Dasher Pass, where we're actually not going to be quiet at all. Yeah, we're going to add just a little spice to your rice. So I was kind of inspired. I have some notes here just to make sure I don't go too off the rails. I saw Jenonthego's most recent video. I don't know if she's put out her most recent video, I believe, which was she remarks kind of on the protests, the Instacart protests and everything. But towards the end of the video, what really caught my eye is that she brings up an argument that is really common when you're discussing any kind of proactive idea regarding the gig economy, no matter what app it is. So she brings up this argument that just really caught my eye. That argument being, well, if you don't like the job, then just go do something else. And that argument, I'm sure, is one that you've seen, heard, or had directed at you, because it's a really common argument. But it struck me specifically because in my last video, which if you haven't seen, it's my friend Shannon, who's a business owner, and I just having a conversation, going over one of the interviews I had in the park. That video should be coming out tomorrow. But this one was just a quick video that I know I could make and wanted to make. In that last video that I had put out, I had written in a segment because one of the topics we talk about, it just instantly came to my head. It was like, oh, someone for sure is going to be like,
well, if you don't like it, why are you even talking about it? Just go get another job.
Right? And I took it out because I just felt like, I didn't want to keep adding commentary to a commentary video, if that makes sense. So I took it out. I didn't go with it. But I watched Jenonthego's video and it kind of brought it all back. And I was like, yeah, no, I still want to say something about it. I just wanted to add on to what Jenonthego had already said. And she makes a great point. I'll go ahead and let you guys watch.
People that speak out against us taking action will say things like, if you don't want to do this, get another job. But the problem is that this work is so exploitative that if somebody doesn't take a stand, then the next person in line is going to be exploited. Together, we gain so much power and traction by collectively speaking out.
So yeah, like she already makes some great points, and I just wanted to add on to that. Some analogies that I thought of that might help people understand why it's such a silly argument to begin with. So let's start from the beginning. Like I said, everyone's heard this argument. It's a very common argument. Well, I don't really consider that an argument, and you'll kind of understand why by the end of this video, I hope. I guess when I see people say that too, it really takes me back to grade school. Because to me, an argument is something constructive. You're talking to get to a conclusion, and let's read the definition of an argument really fast. Let's just make sure you're talking about the right things here. So an argument is a reason or set of reasons given with the aim of persuading others that an action or idea is right or wrong, otherwise known as a process of reasoning. Now, to me, arguments are based on a spectrum, meaning that there can be really, really good arguments, but there can also be like really, really bad arguments. And to me, this is a really, really bad argument, and I'll explain why. But to explain why, we also need to classify what makes a bad argument. And this is all based on opinion. This is what I consider a bad argument. You could say a bad argument is one that doesn't meet its goal of reasoning, meaning you didn't convince anyone of anything. You're just left in your own echo chamber, basically. A bad argument could also be an argument that didn't even attempt to offer any reasoning to begin with, and therefore results in more or less the same result. So when I hear, well, if you don't like it, then just find another job, that to me is a bad argument. It's not even an argument, I would say. Because, when I hear that, you're not offering any reasoning. You're not really offering anything. You're just offering things I already know. I know I don't like it, and I know I can go find another job. And most, critical thinking adults, most people already know that. So it's already a moot point. I feel like you might as well just say,
if you don't like it, just accept it.
Okay, say I've invested Say I've invested moving into a new house. I sold and left my old house and have moved to this new one. I thought the neighborhood was a good one, but turns out my realtor didn't give me all the details, and it's actually a really, really bad neighborhood. I've stuck it out and decided to try talking to my neighbors and see what they think. And after talking to most of my neighbors, a lot of them agree, yeah, it's a really bad neighborhood. The police never help us. Like, there's just no money. No one ever comes, helps us out, takes care. Like, it's just a very neglected neighborhood. It's a really bad neighborhood. And most of the neighbors agree, yeah, it's a really bad neighborhood. And most of the neighbors are, they're trying to do something about it. They want to do something about it, but they don't really know what to do specifically. They just know they want a better neighborhood to live in. Now, some of the neighbors agree that yes, it is a bad neighborhood, but they don't want to hear about it. They just want you to move out and move on with your life. Because they don't care, they feel like you also shouldn't care. It's not my problem, it's not your problem. But like, who gets to make that decision, Some of the neighbors, including myself, are already trying to move out or have another house lined up, but not everyone in the neighborhood has that option. That's a very few amount of people in this hypothetical neighborhood. Another good portion of the neighborhood doesn't care to do anything, and they just want to keep living in a bad neighborhood because it's just going back to that. You're basically saying, because I don't care, you shouldn't care either, and I don't want to hear it. And to me, that's just really silly. Like, it's just, you're admitting there is a problem, but you don't care about it and you don't want to do anything, which is fine. You don't have to do anything. You definitely don't have to do anything. I just don't feel like that argument should be brought up ever, or it really should be an argument, because it's not an argument. You're offering no line of reasoning. You're just stating what you and I both know, but that's not convincing me of anything. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, if you don't want to do anything about it, that's totally fine. But you're also just admitting that, yeah, it is bad. But like, because the option exists that you can move to this new house or get this new job, then that should be the only option. And you shouldn't worry about trying to make something better for yourself or others. And that's fine if you want to be selfish, but also don't push that on me and call it an argument, because it's not an argument. To most people, to fix an issue, especially nowadays, I feel like the only option really being considered is being as loud as possible about it, which does help. I do think that helps a lot of things, especially with the media, because once the media runs with something and puts your company in a negative light, you have to do everything possible to quickly mitigate it. And while that does work, it's really hard to actually get that to happen. Especially because if you can't get the news to care, then nobody else is going to care, unfortunately. To me, I really don't care how people choose to be proactive. I do believe that there are more proactive ways than others. And I'm going to list some of those by the end of the video. But I just think it's a really silly, I don't want to say stupid, but it's a really silly argument. It's not an argument. You're just like, it's really just you saying,
I don't care, you shouldn't care, I don't want to hear it, I'm too lazy to do anything, so I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about you trying to do something because I don't care to do anything. So
it's a really weird mindset to me. I just don't understand the logic of it whatsoever. Like, not even a little bit. Like, I really tried. I really sat down and thought about it. I was like, should I care? Yeah, I can. I can care if I want to. And if nobody is going to keep calling them out, then it's going to be a really, really long time before that neighborhood gets cleaned up. The crime gets reduced. It's going to be a really long time. And the same with the gig economy. It's going to be a really, really long time before legislation or regulation gets pushed through. And it will eventually. Like, whether we like it or not, these apps are eventually going to get regulated, because they're going to keep pushing the envelope more and more, because no one's telling them no or wagging their finger at them. Now, like I said, I don't really care how people choose to be proactive. I do think there's a problem and a clear line between whining about something and not offering any solutions or having a productive conversation. The chance of any one of us changing Doordashes, Instacarts, whoever, their mind, just from our actions alone, is very, very slim. And we all know that. I think we all know that. I think it's fine once or twice just to kind of raise the alarms and get people to look over here. But to me, it's just not, it's not the best way in the long term. And to offer some like better ways, you know, some better solutions on how to be proactive. I'm not saying that people shouldn't strike, raise their voice or anything. I think that's totally acceptable. You're being, you know, as long as you're being proactive about the situation, not hurting other people, not invading on other people's privacy. I think it's definitely okay. Unless Tony Zoo kicked your dog and fucked your mother, I don't think we should be standing on his lawn. It's not like he's really doing anything illegal besides taking tips. That was pretty bad. But that's when you should have gone on his lawn, I feel like, when he was actually stealing your money and got called out for it. I also saw, like, and let's just make this clear too, they were stealing tips. It did constitute as stealing. That's just the whole thing. But I did also want to clear that up. Yes, they did steal tips. So they have gotten in trouble. So if you do want to be proactive in more long-term ways, some better options are, I'm not saying these should be the only options, but you should really, really just take a second, look at your state's legislation, their propositions they're trying to push through, because you might be surprised. They might actually be trying to advocate for gig workers and trying to get you more control, more regulations, just evening out the playing field, basically. For instance, Massachusetts, and I'm set to make a video on this actually. Massachusetts specifically is trying to pass a few propositions that I'll go into detail in the next video. But like, yeah, people might be trying to pass things in your state that you might not know about. So definitely go take a look at that. And if they're not, then there are ways that you can bring these issues to the table. And I guarantee you, if Doordash, whatever, UberEats is big in your area, if gig work is big in your area, there are probably people moving and trying to push propositions through or get them on the ballot. So you should definitely take a look at that. If you want to be really proactive about it, just look at what your states are doing, see if they're trying to pass anything. So if you feel like you want to make things better, I think that this is a great way to go out and do it. Get involved in your local communities, talk to people, see what they actually think, spread awareness. Like the interviews I had with people was awesome. It felt great. I was nervous as hell to do it, but it was really cool to interact with my community like that, and I won't forget it. Yeah. So this wasn't directed. I just wanted to go off of what Jenonthego said to try and add, like, you know, just a little more context to it. Add my thoughts into it, because I think it's a good point. Like, it's an argument that comes up all the time, and it just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. It just seems really silly. But yeah, you know, I know everyone wants to hear a 20-something-year-old's opinion on economic strife and, you know, political outrage. It's not really even political, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna get those interviews out to you soon, I promise. Don't worry.
Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And let me think if there's anything else.
Keep doing what you're doing. If you feel like it's the right thing to do, then do it. Who am I to say that, you know, it won't work? But yeah, that's all I really had to say. Thank you for coming to my quiet corner, and we'll see you in the next one.